Tonight, we journey into the lands between, where every weapon tells a story. From legendary blades wielded by demigods to ancient relics buried in forgotten ruins, each piece of steel carries echoes of battles fought, oaths sworn, and powers lost to time. As you rest, imagine the quiet glow of a site of grace, the chill wind over shattered battlefields, and these weapons lying silent, waiting for a new hand to take them up. Their histories are carved into the world itself, and tonight we'll uncover their tales softly, calmly, and piece by piece until sleep finds you. The Sword of Night and Flame is one of Elden Ring's most enigmatic and coveted weapons, tied to the Forgotten Carians and their mastery over both sorcery and flame. Its description speaks of a legendary armament said to be born of both moonlight and fire, blending two seemingly opposing forces, the cold, tranquil brilliance of the moon and the violent, consuming blaze of flame. This duality is not accidental, it reflects a deep schism within the lands between, one rooted in the conflict between the Erd Tree's Golden Order and the Carian royals allied with Renala and the moon's arcane power. The sword's ability mirrors this lore. One stance calls forth searing flames reminiscent of the fire monks and their ancient forbidden worship of primordial fire, while the other unleashes beams of cold moonlight akin to Carian sorcery. To wield it is to hold two worlds in balance: faith and intellect, fire and frost, destruction and serenity. Its very existence hints at a time when power was more fluid, when belief systems overlapped and mingled before the Erd Tree imposed its rigid order. Finding it deep within the mysterious Korea Manor and its cursed halls suggests it once belonged to a mage knight of high renown, someone who straddled the line between two great forces. Next is the Moonlight Greatsword, a weapon beloved not just in Elden Ring but across all of From Software's lineage. Known by different names in other worlds, it has appeared in countless forms: a spectral greatsword of glimmering moonlight, wielded by those tied to lunar magic and hidden knowledge. In Elden Ring, it is bound to Renala, Queen of the Full Moon, and her daughter Rani, whose questline ultimately allows players to inherit its power. Its deep blue glow reflects the Carian sorceries tied to the moon and their pursuit of cold, starlit truth over the warmth of the Erd Tree's golden light. By wielding this weapon, you symbolically turn from the Erd Tree's dogma toward the cosmos, embracing a legacy tied to ancient astrologers and the unreachable moon above. Its description calls it a treasure of the Carian royal family, suggesting it has been passed down through generations, its glow illuminating the path of those who reject worldly order for distant, celestial mysteries. To swing it in battle is to feel that cold clarity, each shimmering arc connecting you to a lineage that gazed skyward, seeking power and knowledge far removed from the lands between's decaying roots. Finally, there is the blasphemous blade, a weapon steeped in grotesque heresy and tied to Praetor Rykard, the demigod who turned himself over to the serpent god of Mount Gelmir. This blade's lore is as chilling as its appearance. Forged from Rykard's very essence after his defeat, it carries a lingering hunger. Its fiery strikes absorb health from those it wounds, feeding its wielder much like the serpent's devouring nature. Rykard's choice to abandon the Erd Tree and embrace blasphemy was not merely rebellionite, was a complete rejection of the world's divine order. The blasphemous blade embodies this defiance, its flames scorched black as though corrupted by his descent into serpentine madness. Wielding it is to carry a fragment of Rykard's will, his belief that strength comes not from devotion or grace, but from consuming all that stands in one's path. The weapon's description states, "Sacred weapon of Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy, remains of the serpent that devoured him." In this, it is not merely a bladed is Rykard himself. a twisted relic of a man who became a monster to defy the gods. These three weapons Moonlight's serene brilliance, flames consuming chaos, and blasphemy's defiant hunger represent the fractured philosophies of the lands between. Each is legendary not only for its might, but for the ideals it embodies. They are echoes of their wielders. The Scholar, Knights of Korea, the moonbound royalty seeking truth beyond the Erd Tree, and the heretical demigod who dared to devour a god itself. Holding them is to hold history, to feel the weight of ambition, rebellion, and wonder in your grasp. As you picture these weapons resting in ancient halls, their edges dulled but their glow undimmed, imagine their stories whispering through the silence, of moonlit towers where sorcerers dreamed, of blazing altars where flames once roared, of serpent-haunted chambers where heresy was born. Their echoes linger still, waiting for the next hand to take them up, to continue the battles and beliefs of a world long shattered. The weapons of the demigods are unlike any others in the lands between. Each is more than a tool of worth, are extensions of their wielder's very essence, steeped in divine blood and the tragedies that define their lives. To hold one is to touch the legacy of a being both mortal and godly, burdened with power and cursed by destiny. Among these legendary arms, three stand out not just for their destructive might, but for the stories they carry. Morgoth's cursed sword, Radon's lion greatbow, and Malekith's black blade. Morgoth's cursed sword is a weapon born of suffering, carrying with it the stigma of his accursed bloodline. Morgoth, the veiled king of Lindell, lived his life as an omen, a child of royalty twisted by horns and reviled by his own kin. Though he fought relentlessly to defend the Erd Tree and uphold the Golden Order, he was never accepted, barred from the very throne he protected. His cursed sword embodies this duality, a curved blade marked by twisting flame and jagged edges, searing its victims with fiery arcs that mirror his own pain. Its weapon skill, cursed blood slice, unleashes a flaming lunge steeped in omen power, as though each strike vents the torment he bore silently for centuries. To wield this sword is to feel Morgoth's burden, the bitterness of loyalty unreturned, the sting of rejection from a world he served faithfully. His choice to remain in Lindell, guarding the Erd Tree even as its light dimmed, speaks to a tragic nobility. Morgoth's sword is thus more than a weapon. It is a declaration of defiance and fidelity, proof that even the cursed can become kings, even if only in name. Its flame is not one of chaos or heresy, but of a desperate will to protect, burning against a world that scorned him. In contrast, Radon's lion greatbow represents not sorrow, but martial grandeur and unwavering might. General Radon, the warrior who halted the very stars in their paths, embodied strength and discipline on a cosmic scale. His lion greatbow is a weapon fit for such a Titana massive bow, requiring immense power to wield, capable of launching great arrows over vast distances with devastating force. Its association with the lion is no accident. Radon's very sigil bore the image of a lion, symbolizing his ferocity in battle and unyielding courage. Radon's bow ties directly to his legend as a commander who led armies with pride and strength unmatched in the lands between. His martial prowess was so great that he learned gravity sorceries not to enhance his attacks, but simply to keep riding his beloved steed, Leonard, even as his body grew impossibly massive. The image of Radon firing his lion greatbow while galloping across scarred battlefields is one that lives on in whispers, a testament to his unmatched heroism. His weapon skill, Radon's rain, calls forth a storm of arrows that blot out the sky, echoing his fearsome presence as a living force of war. Yet even Radon's tale is tinged with sorrow. His loyalty to his home, his pride as a warrior, and his eventual descent into madness during the Festival of Combat reveal the price of his strength. The lion greatbow stands as both a tribute and a relic, a reminder of a demigod who bore the weight of stars and commanded armies in an age of splendor now reduced to dust. Holding it is to glimpse a world where glory once roared like thunder before silence fell upon the lands between. Lastly, Malekith's black blade is a weapon steeped in ancient dread, tied to one of the darkest truths of the Elden Ring's history. Malekith, half-brother to Queen Marika and guardian of destined death, wielded this blade as both jailer and executioner. It was Malekith who sealed away death itself, robbing mortals of its natural course and binding their souls eternally to the Erd Tree. His black blade is thus more than a weapon, it is the very edge of mortality, an echo of a power denied to the world. When Malekith fought, his strikes carried the weight of inevitability, each swing of the black blade burning with deathly flame that eroded vitality itself. Its weapon skill, destined death, mirrors his ancient duty, inflicting wounds that linger, sapping life and strength. To wield it is to channel that forbidden force, feeling the shadow of the beast clergyman who bore the blade with grim resolve. Malekith's tale is a tragic one. Though he was loyal to Marika and the Golden Order, his burden guarding the fragment of death within the rune of D thistleated him utterly. His transformation into the beast clergyman reflects the solitude, his humanity subsumed by duty and despair. When the player faces Malekith, his anguished cries reveal a being torn apart by regret and betrayal, his black blade a symbol of his eternal punishment for guarding a truth too dangerous to be known. Together, these three weapons, Morgoth's cursed sword, Radon's lion greatbow, and Malekith's black blade form a tapestry of demigod legacies. Each tells a different story. Morgoth's of pain and loyalty scorned, Radon's of heroic might and inevitable decline, and Malekith's of solemn duty and forbidden truths. They are relics of an age when gods still walked the lands between, when battles between divine bloodlines reshaped the world itself. As you picture these weapons, imagine them resting now in quiet vaults or crumbled keeps. Morgoth's sword, lying amid the golden dust of Langdel's throne room, Radon's bow sunk into the sand of Kylid's red wastes, and Malekith's black blade, entombed in the ruins of Farum Azula. Their owners are gone, their glory faded, but their stories linger in the steel and flame, in the runes etched deep upon their edges. To touch these weapons is to feel the pulse of history, the echo of Radon's arrows cutting the sky, the heat of Morgoth's cursed flames, and the deathly chill of Malekith's black fire. They are fragments of the demigods themselves, lingering in silence, waiting for another hand to take them up, if only to relive those moments of splendor and tragedy once more. Some weapons of Elden Ring reach even further back, predating the wars of the demigods and recalling ages when forgotten factions clashed beneath alien skies. Among these relics lie tools tied to vanished kingdoms, forsaken faiths, and brutal conflicts long buried beneath the Erd Tree's roots. The Eclipse Shotel, grafted blade greatsword, and weapons linked to the ancient dragons are remnants of these bygone eras, their designs speaking to beliefs and powers erased from the world's memory. The Eclipse Shotel is a weapon intimately bound to the faith of the Eclipse Church in the far reaches of the lands between. Its curved blade gleams faintly like a dying sun, its very shape reminiscent of a crescent swallowing light. The weapon's lore references its ability to inflict death blight, connecting it to forbidden rites and the lingering worship of powers outlawed by the Golden Order. This blade was wielded by those who sought not the grace of the Erd Tree, but the dark salvation of the Ecliptian omen that symbolized endings, silence, and death unbound. Its location at the Church of the Eclipse in Castle Sol speaks volumes. This lonely, frost-bitten keep stands as a relic of a faith nearly extinguished, its adherents either dead or scattered. The Eclipse Hotel's haunting glow is a reminder of a time when splinter sects dared to dream of liberation from the Erd Tree's immortality, seeking instead the true end that Marika denied the world. To wield it is to carry a forbidden torch, a weapon of rebellion born from whispers of death and the promise of rest. The grafted blade greatsword, grotesque and imposing, is a weapon forged in desperation and cruelty. Constructed from countless smaller swords fused together, its jagged form reflects its owner, Godric the Grafted, whose hunger for power drove him to mutilate his own body and stitch the limbs of his foes onto himself. This greatsword is a physical manifestation of Godric's ambition and attempt to assemble greatness through sheer force, cobbling fragments into a distorted whole. Its weight and unwieldy size demand immense strength, as though carrying the burden of Godric's sins. The blade is more monument than weapon, a brutal testament to the lengths its master went to seize legitimacy. Godric's downfall, slain in his own throne room by tarnished hands, leaves the grafted blade as a chilling reminder of his folly. Greatness cannot be pieced together from scraps, and power built on theft and fear will inevitably collapse. Finally, the weapons tied to ancient dragon slayers hark back to wars fought in an age before the Erd Tree's dominance, when the skies burned with lightning and the air was thick with dragonfire. Arms such as dragon slayer spears and swords bear inscriptions linking them to these forgotten battles. The dragons, embodiments of primordial power and ruin, were both feared and revered, their scales impervious to ordinary steel. To face them required weapons steeped in their own weakness blades, honed with ancient incantations and tips that could pierce even the thickest hide. These dragon-slaying arms survive now only as relics, their inscriptions faded, their edges dulled by time. Yet to hold them is to recall an age when warriors stood beneath blackened skies, defying creatures whose roars could shake mountains. Even in ruins, they hum faintly with the crackle of storm lightning, a lingering echo of the duels that once shook the very earth. The Eclipse Hotel's dark faith, the grotesque ambition of the grafted blade, and the valor of dragon-slaying weapons all speak to different truths: the allure of forbidden salvation, the corruption of power, and the courage demanded by a merciless world. They are silent testaments to ages, erased by time, waiting in frost-bitten castles and lightning-scarred ruins for the tarnished who will awaken their stories once more. Some weapons are defined not by gods or grand wars, but by the infamous individuals who wielded them. These arms carry personal historias tales of betrayal, obsession, and savagery that are etched into their steel like scars. The Bloodhound's Fang, Rivers of Blood, and Marais Executioner's Sword belong to such figures, their lore revealing intimate glimpses into the twisted lives of their owners. The Bloodhound's Fang is the weapon of the elusive Bloodhound Knights, warriors bound to their masters by a loyalty as fierce as it is cursed. Its curved, jagged edge mirrors the feral speed of its users, who fought with a mix of knightly discipline and predatory savagery. These knights were said to stalk their targets relentlessly, hunting them across the lands between with the precision of hounds on a scent. The Fang's unique skill, Bloodhound's finesse, reflects this ruthless style, a graceful backward leap, followed by a deadly counter, mimicking the lunging strikes of a beast. To wield it is to embrace that relentless pursuit, a dance of predator and prey, honed into lethal elegance. The Bloodhound Knights themselves were often feared rather than revered, their service bordering on the fanatical, their humanity subsumed by their oaths. Their blades remain as reminders of that unyielding devotion and the blood-soaked paths they walked. The Rivers of Blood Katana, infamous even among Tarnished, is tied to Okina, a wandering swordsman whose obsession with bloodshed consumed him entirely. This weapon is steeped in grotesque violence, its crimson blade said to pulse with the lifeblood of countless victims. Its unique skill, Corpse Piler, unleashes a flurry of slashes so fast and brutal they seem to paint the air itself red. Okina's descent into madness is inseparable from this weapon. He was a man driven beyond reason, his artistry with the blade twisted into carnage. Those who wield Rivers of Blood feel this legacy it is not simply a weapon, but an addiction, each cut drawing deeper into both flesh and psyche. Its reputation in the lands between is one of dread, and even its wielders risk being consumed by the same crimson haze that claimed Okina. The Murray Executioner's sword tells a tale steeped in cruelty and vengeance. This heavy, whirling blade once belonged to Elimer of the Briar, a killer who haunted the shaded castle. Elimer wielded it not just to slay, but to torment, spinning it in sweeping arcs that tore through flesh with theatrical flourish. The sword's origins trace back to House Murray, a noble family infamous for its brutal methods of execution, their blade designed not for war but for grisly spectacle. When Elimer claimed it, he transformed it into a weapon of roaming terror, his attacks blending knightly technique with sadistic flourish. Its skill, Eocade's dancing blade, sends the weapon spinning outward like a living guillotine, as if mocking its heritage while reveling in its dark artistry. To carry it is to wield not just steel but cruelty forged into motion, a shadow of Elimer's merciless reign. These weapons, born from individuals rather than empires or gods, feel deeply personal. They are stories of human flaws and obsessions magnified by the brutal world of Elden Ring. The Bloodhound's Fang speaks of loyalty pushed to feral extremes, Rivers of Blood of a man lost in crimson ecstasy, and the Murray Executioner's sword of cruelty made art. Each blade is a fragment of its owner's soul, still sharp with memory, waiting to be taken up by another hand-derringer doomed enough to repeat their steps. The weapons tied to faith and its many factions in the lands between reflect the deep spiritual divides that have defined its history. Each sect, creed, and belief system manifested its own arms, not only as tools of war, but as symbols of divine will and sacred authority. Among these are the golden halberd of the Tree Sentinels, the bizarre envoy's horns of the Oracle envoys, and the chilling Death's poker, all representing vastly different expressions of faith and power. The golden halberd is perhaps one of the most iconic holy weapons in Elden Ring, wielded by the towering Tree Sentinels, guardians who patrol the outskirts of Lanedell and the base of the Erd Tree. Its design is as resplendent as it is practical. Polished gold plating and massive heft convey both reverence and authority, as if to say that those who brandish it are not merely soldiers, they are divine enforcers of the Golden Order's will. Its unique skill, Golden Vow, imbues its wielder and allies with a blessing that increases strength and resilience, echoing the faith-fueled resolve that drove the Tree Sentinels to defend the Erd Tree at all costs. The weapon's description notes that it is a ceremonial weapon of honor, its grandeur a reflection of its wielder's sacred duty. However, its sheer size and weight make clear that this is no mere ornament. To bear the golden halberd is to embody the fusion of faith and martial might, the belief that piety and force of arms are inseparable. In the hands of the Tree Sentinels, it was both a banner and a weapon, striking fear into the Tarnished and proclaiming the dominance of the Erd Tree's light over all others. In stark contrast to this imposing weapon of divine order are the Envoy's horns, perhaps among the strangest armaments in the lands between. These peculiar instruments are wielded by the diminutive and eerie oracle envoys, rotund figures who wander areas tied to celestial phenomena, such as Lindel and the Halig Tree. Shaped like trumpets made of bone and ivory, they emit ethereal blasts of sound as attacks, their melodies at once whimsical and unsettling. The origins of the envoys and their horns are steeped in mystery, but their connection to celestial forces suggests they act as heralds for higher alien truths that exist beyond the Golden Order's rigid dogma. The horn's notes echo like faint music from the stars, implying they are attuned to cosmic harmonies outside mortal comprehension. Some speculate that the envoys may be messengers of a greater order, tied to the same moonlit paths followed by astrologers and the Carrion royal family. Their strange songs, therefore, might be attempts to communicate divine wisdom through sound rather than wordsa, kind of prayer given voice and music rather than language. Then there is Death's Poker, a weapon steeped in forbidden power and tied directly to the concept of death blight, the most feared and profane form of death in the lands between. This slender, almost skeletal blade appears as if it were forged from charred bones, its surface faintly glowing with cold ghost flame. Its very existence is tied to those who once wielded the deathly powers sealed away by Marika and Malekith, making it a direct affront to the Golden Order's denial of mortality. Its weapon skill, Ghost Flame Ignition, conjures eerie blue fire that lingers and spreads, consuming vitality with otherworldly chill. This ghost flame is said to burn not flesh but spirit, leaving corpses marked by spectral embers. Death's Poker thus stands as a relic of a time before the Erd Tree's rise, when death followed its natural course, and powers tied to it were neither forbidden nor hidden. To wield it is to embrace a fragment of that primal truth, long buried beneath the Erd Tree's illusion of immortality. These three weapons, the Golden Halberd, Envoy's Horns, and Death's Poker, illustrate the extremes of faith in the lands between, unquestioning devotion to the Erd Tree, alien worship of unknowable cosmic music, and the taboo rites of death denied. Each carries within it not only combat prowess, but the philosophies of those who forged and bore them, encapsulating the spiritual fractures that define the world. As you imagine them now, picture a sentinel kneeling in golden armor, halberd planted before him in unwavering duty. Hear the faint, alien tones of the envoy's horns drifting through misty streets. See the pale ghost flame of Death's Poker flicker softly in ruins forgotten by time. These are not merely weapons, they are prayers made tangible, manifesting belief in steel, sound, and spectral fire. The mystical heart of the lands between lies in its magic, and nowhere is this more evident than in its arcane weapons. Forged by scholars, astrologers, and those who walked the hidden paths of sorcery, these weapons are as much conduits of thought and study as they are tools of destruction. Chief among them are the Dark Moon Greatsword, the Carrion Regal Scepter, and the Staff of the Avatariage, a relic tied to the pursuit of cosmic truth, royal lineage, and ancient primal power. The Dark Moon Greatsword is not merely a weapon, it is a legacy. This blade is tied intimately to Rani the Witch and her mother, Renala, Queen of the Full Moon, and represents the culmination of their lunar sorceries. Its icy blue glow and shimmering arcane aura are tied to the cold, distant power of the moon, standing in direct opposition to the golden radiance of the Erd Tree. Its weapon skill, Moonlight Greatsword, imbues its blade with frigid moonlight, unleashing waves of cold magic that cleave through air and armor alike. To wield this sword is to symbolically align oneself with Rani's path of rejection of the greater will's control in favor of the starry expanse and eternal night. The Dark Moon Greatsword's presence in every From Software title is no coincidence. It is a bridge between worlds, a symbol of insight into truths hidden beyond the reach of gods. The Carian regal scepter, meanwhile, is a symbol of authority among the Carian royal family. Once held by Renala herself, it reflects the refined intellect and arcane mastery of Korea's rulers, who fused nobility with scholarship. Its description speaks of sorceries born of the full moon, and in the hands of its wielder, it magnifies such spells to regal potency. The scepter's gilded form and runic engravings convey its dual nature, a weapon and a throne-bound artifact, marking its bearer not just as a sorcerer, but as one with rightful claim to Carian heritage. To wield it is to carry both power and duty, echoing Renala's reign over the Academy of Raya Lucaria and her enduring connection to the stars and moon above. Finally, the Staff of the Avatar harkens back to a power older even than the Erd Tree itself, the Crucible, a primal force that existed before the world was shaped into its current form. This massive wooden staff, gnarled and almost organic in appearance, channels the chaotic vitality of life unbounda, reminder of an era when magic and nature were indivisible. Its connection to the Erd Tree avatars, colossal guardians, embodying aspects of the Crucible, ties it to that primordial vitality. Wielding the Staff of the Avatar feels less like casting sorcery and more like invoking the raw, untamed forces that birthed existence itself. The incantations it amplifies rooted in the Crucible's primal essence are echoes of a forgotten age when the Erd Tree had not yet risen and nature's power flowed freely, unshaped and untamed. Together, these three magical relics form a bridge between knowledge, royalty, and nature's primal memory. They are weapons of scholars and seers, of those who gazed into the night sky or deep into the Erd Tree's roots, seeking truths that transcend mortal life. Each one hums faintly with energy, the cold radiance of the dark moon, the dignified warmth of the Carian scepter, and the deep earthen pulse of the crucible-bound staff. Among the most awe-inspiring weapons of the lands between are the colossal arms wielded by warriors of unmatched size and strength. These are weapons that shake the earth when swung, meant not for finesse but for raw, overwhelming force. They speak of an age where might was revered, where strength itself carved history. Chief among these are the Dragon Slayer Spear, Dragon Slayer Great Shield, and the Giant Crusher relics of titans and champions who once stood against gods, dragons, and fate itself. The Dragon Slayer Spear carries a legacy steeped in both glory and terror. Its elegant yet formidable design reflects its dual purpose, both as a weapon of noble dragon hunters and as a symbol of mankind's defiance against creatures that once ruled the skies. Forged to pierce the scales of ancient dragons, its tip is sharpened to a divine point, infused with lightning that mirrored the primordial storms wielded by the dragon's own foes. In battle, its thrusts strike like thunderbolts, evoking the image of a lone warrior standing against a beast as large as a mountain. Its association with dragon hunting cults hints at its ritualistic significance. It was not merely a weapon, it was a sacred tool of vengeance, carried into battles that would decide the fate of kingdoms. The wielder of such a spear was no ordinary soldier. They were chosen, revered, and feared, tasked with facing the apex predators of their age. To grasp the Dragon Slayer's spear even now is to feel the echoes of those battles, of lightning cracking overhead and dragons roaring defiantly into the storm. The Dragon Slayer Great Shield, equally monumental, represents a different kind of power. This shield, enormous and impossibly heavy, once belonged to knights who stood their ground against towering beasts and demigods alike. Its sheer size suggests it was as much a wall as a shield, an unyielding barrier forged to withstand blows, capable of shattering stone. The sigils and engravings along its surface faded but still discernible depict stylized dragons falling beneath lances of lightning, reinforcing its origin among the same dragon-slaying orders that birthed the spear. Legends say those who bore this shield were immovable, holding the line while comrades struck fatal blows. To wield it is to embody that unbreakable resolve, a vow that no force, no matter how divine or monstrous, could drive you back. Its presence, even in ruins, speaks volumes of its bearer's determination. Though long abandoned, it still emanates a quiet defiance, as if daring any who see it to stand firm in the face of despair. Lastly, the giant crusher is the epitome of brute strength. This titanic hammer is nothing more than a massive pillar of iron, crudely shaped yet devastating in its simplicity. Its wielder needed no refinement or technique, only the raw, unrelenting strength to swing it and flatten foes utterly. Its very name evokes images of colossal warriors smashing their way through armies, each blow enough to crater the earth and crumble fortresses. The giant crusher's design reflects the primal philosophy of its origin. When faced with overwhelming threats, overwhelming force is the answer. No intricate craftsmanship or magical infusion, just a massive weapon wielded by someone capable of breaking giants with their bare strength. To lift it even slightly is to understand the scale of power required by its original owner, a strength bordering on myth. These colossal weapons are reminders of an era defined by raw power, where gods and monsters clashed with mortals who dared to challenge them. They are testaments to courage, defiance, and the belief that even the mightiest can be felled by sheer will and strength. To see them now, silent and resting in the rubble of a forgotten battlefield, is to glimpse a world where titans walked and warriors carved legends with steel as big as themselves. Not all weapons in the lands between are bound to faith or strength. Some hail from far stranger origins, tied to the cosmos and forces beyond human comprehension. These weapons embody the alien, the otherworldly, and the unknown gifts or curses left behind by entities that dwell in the black reaches of the stars. The Halo Scythe, Wing of Astal, and Bastard Stars are not weapons of mere mortals or gods, but artifacts of cosmic intrusion into the lands between. The Halo Scythe, with its crescent blade and glowing aura, is tied to the mysterious Cleanrot Knights, servants of millennia. Its weapon skill conjures spinning rings of light reminiscent of Halos divine in appearance, yet their origin lies in the rot that consumed millennia's body and soul. This duality is striking. Beauty born of decay, divinity emerging from corruption. The Cleanrot Knights wielded these scythes not only as tools of war, but as symbols of devotion to their scarlet rot goddess, fighting unflinchingly despite their festering affliction. To wield the Halo Scythe is to embrace contradiction. It is both radiant and ruinous, its elegance belying its ties to disease and death. It reflects a truth hidden deep within Elden Ring's lore, that beauty and decay are intertwined, and that faith can drive mortals to transcend even their own suffering in service to something greater, no matter how horrifying. The Wing of Astal is even more alien in origin, tied to Astel, natural born of the void, a creature of the stars whose grotesque beauty defies explanation. This curved sword gleams with iridescent starlight, its edges trailing motes of cosmic dust as it cuts through air. Its weapon skill conjures arcs of void-born energy, reminiscent of distant galaxies flickering against an endless black sky. The Wing of Astal speaks of contact with incomprehensible beings, those who lurk beyond the lands between in a darkness far older and deeper than any Erd tree or demigod. To wield it is to feel the cold, distant hum of space itself, a reminder of truths that dwarf the petty conflicts of mortals and gods alike. It is an invitation to walk the path of those who look upward, past the Erd tree's branches, into the vast eternal dark above. Then there is Bastard Stars, a weapon derived directly from the remnants of Astal. This flail is a horror and a marvel, its spherical head resembling a fragment of some alien star pulsating faintly with violet light. Its attacks trail glittering motes of cosmic energy, and its skill, Nebula, creates swirling constellations that detonate in silent, explosive bursts. Bastard Stars is both grotesque and awe-inspiring, a weapon forged from the death of something incomprehensible. It feels less like a crafted tool and more like a piece of an alien corpse repurposed into something terrible and magnificent. Its existence reminds us that the lands between are but a small part of a much vaster cosmos, one filled with entities and phenomena that care little for the struggles beneath them. These weapons beautiful, terrible, and utterly alienaire windows into a universe that dwarfs the Erd Tree and all its golden splendor. They hum with quiet, unknowable power, their origins tied not to history, but to eternity itself. To wield them is to hold a piece of the infinite, to touch forces beyond mortal ken, and in their quiet, glowing presence lies a reminder that the lands between is but one small stage in an endless cosmic expanse. Finally, there are weapons that even the boldest hesitate to wield, tools bound to forbidden powers, cursed legacies, and blasphemous rites that defy the natural order. These weapons represent extremes of belief and ambition, their wielders often cast out as heretics or consumed by their own folly. The Giza's Wheel, Cipher Pata, and Frenzied Flame Seal are such arms grotesque, dangerous, and forever marked by taboo. Giza's Wheel is perhaps the most brutal of them all. A massive iron wheel lined with jagged spikes, it was once the instrument of Inquisitor Giza, a man infamous for his cruelty. He wielded it not as a knight or warrior, but as an executioner, grinding his victims beneath its terrible weight. Its weapon skill, spinning wheel, is as horrifying as it is effective, turning the weapon into a whirling grinder of blood and steel. To hold Giza's wheel is to feel its violent history, every notch and spike a record of suffering inflicted in the name of zealotry and order. It is a weapon that thrives not on elegance or finesse, but on unrelenting brutality, an iron monument to pain. The Cipher Pata, by contrast, is an ethereal blade made entirely of golden light, tied to the two fingers' inner circle and the most devout of the Golden Order's agents. Unlike conventional steel, its radiant form bypasses flesh and armor, cutting directly into the essence of its foes. It is a weapon of holy assassins, silent killers who served the Order without question, striking swiftly and vanishing into shadow. The Cipher Pata's design reflects its nature: intangible, untouchable, and absolute. To wield it is to bear the judgment of the Golden Order itself, an invisible executioner's edge meant to silence dissent and purge impurity. Its twin-blade form evokes precision and finality, the deadly artistry of faith turned into weaponry. Lastly, the Frenzied Flame Seal is tied to the most terrifying of all powers. The Frenzied Flame, a maddening force of chaos that seeks to unmake the world itself. This seal, etched with erratic markings that seem almost alive, is not merely a conduit for incantations, is a pact, a covenant with a power that promises nothing but destruction. Those who wield it are marked irrevocably, their minds eroded by the flame's whispers. The seal's very existence is outlawed, its power too dangerous, its touch corruptive. Yet it offers strength unmatched, flames that consume all, reducing both foe and wielder alike to ash in an ecstasy of ruin. These forbidden arms, grotesque in form and origin, are remnants of those who sought strength in extreme zealots, assassins, and madmen whose legacies live on only through their weapons. They are the shadows lurking at the edges of the lands between's grand history, reminders that for every shining knight or noble scholar, there were those who embraced darkness, madness, and forbidden truths. Imagine them now, resting in dust-choked dungeons or hidden sanctums, Giza's wheels streaked with rusted blood, the cipher pata glowing faintly in silent halls, and the frenzied flame seal pulsing like a living eye in the dark. They wait, quiet and patient, for the next hand bravier, foolish enough to claim them, to repeat their terrible stories once more.